for every dollar spent on our platforms, on average, people were seeing $4.13 back in return. So this is huge. This is because of AI.
Meta's relationship with AI is complicated. The company recently released its most powerful AI model to date, Muse Spark. And CEO Mark Zuckerberg published a passionate 6,500-word post preaching the benefits of open source AI. Yet while Meta's AI-enhanced ad stacks are driving advertising revenue through the roof, net income dropped 14% in Q2, dragged down by enormous investments in AI and hefty legal penalties.
Change can be a difficult and a challenging thing. I'm energized by the fact that we're now the first generation of leaders that are not just managing people, I'm also managing my own agents.
I sat down with Meta's head of global business group, Nicola Mendelsohn, in Cannes to learn why she's bullish on Meta's AI future and to talk about her new glasses.
I think they look quite nice on, so we need to get you some.
Absolutely. I'm Ruth Umoh, and this is Fortune Next to Lead.
What if you could have your own personal sous chef? That's exactly what every Williams-Sonoma customer has, thanks to Salesforce. With Agentforce, every meal's perfected, every table set, every holiday's handled. Recipes, techniques, tools, every answer at your fingertips. This is how Williams-Sonoma found the ultimate recipe for customer success.
Nicola Mendelsohn, head of the global business group at Meta. Thank you so much for joining us at Fortune Next to Lead here in sunny Cannes Lions. At a moment when AI is rapidly reshaping marketing, advertising, creativity, and increasingly, as you know, the relationship between businesses and their customers, I'd love to spend our time talking about where technology is headed, AI in particular, what it means for brands and business leaders, and certainly what it means for the growth of Meta. To start, you've had a front row seat to almost every major shift in modern media, traditional advertising, digital, social, mobile, creators, now AI. Which previous transition does this movement most resemble, and where does it feel markedly different for you?
So yeah, I've been in the industry over 30 years, and I was lucky enough to kind of really see the tradition from the dawn of the internet and what that did, but also the shift to mobile and the shift to video. And in many ways, there's a lot that is similar to the disruption that is happening. And in many ways, everything feels a little bit different. And I think the difference here now is that what AI is doing is actually changing all business, probably all the ways in which we live our life as well. I believe for the better. I'm very excited about the implications for things like health, for getting rid of the work that most of us don't like doing, the admin kind of side, and allowing us to spend more time on the creative, etc. Now, AI and Meta and Facebook before, as the company was, very long history at the company. It's always been there. It's the thing that has enabled us to show you the content that you care about, the content that you want to see, your friends, the brands, the entertainment, etc. So it's always been there. I think what we've seen in recent times is, we rebuilt our ad stack so that we now have a whole AI-powered Advantage suite of products, which is able to connect advertisers to the right customers for them. And we were really proud this week to announce that we have new results out from the University of Berkeley, who used their professors, got some amazing frameworks, and they spoke to 1 million advertisers to look at their campaigns on Meta. And they shared that for every dollar spent on our platforms, on average, people were seeing $4.13 back in return. So this is huge. This is because of AI, and we've seen a 25% increase since 2022 here. So on the performance side, AI is really helping the advertisers getting a greater return, which is great. We're also seeing one of the things that's been pretty different as well is the increase in the generative AI creative tools. So we recently announced that we now have 8 million advertisers that are utilizing those tools, and it's helping them to, get more messages out to the customers and the consumers that matter to them. So I'm excited about that. We've had really good feedback about that this week. But one of the things that agencies in particular have been saying to us is, we need, more insights from you. So we also launched this week a whole creative workplace whereby you can test in real time how the advertising is doing, the different campaigns. So you can move in real time to the ones that are performing better, but you're also getting insights in real time in terms of why that one worked, why that one didn't. And the richness of those insights means that you can then go on to create new campaigns, new advertising. So it's been a really exciting week, and that's just touching a few of the things that we've been talking about.
An exciting week for you, certainly a lot of announcements. And, this is a perfect segue. I found certainly that historically companies use one set of tools to create ads, another to buy media, another to work with creators, another to handle customer service, and another to drive transactions. Meta, to your point, is increasingly bringing all of these various functions together under one ecosystem. Do you think marketing is becoming a single integrated system powered by AI? Are you trying to become the one-stop shop for marketers?
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, because there's different ways that you should reach your customer in different ways. We made some really big announcements a couple of weeks ago around what an agentic world looks like. One of the things that we observe, and certainly the advertisers this week have been agreeing with us, is around the fact that you actually don't have time to go to lots and lots of different apps all the time. Where people spend their time is places like WhatsApp, it's Instagram Direct, it's messaging. So we've been talking for a while now about how brands in particular can talk to the customer through those different messaging platforms. But what's new is now you can have Meta Business Agents on top. So this is exciting, because this means now that brands can take on their personality, can be with the customer exactly where they are when they're thinking about purchasing something, when maybe they want more information about a size or booking something. So we've been doing that for a few months now already with smaller businesses. Over 1 million of them now have a business agent, which is exciting, but now we can do it for the enterprise. And I think this really has shifted to be much more about enterprise-like conversations. So the nature of the conversations that we're having with advertisers is much more multifaceted, as you said. So it does include creative, it does include media, but it does now include things like messaging and business agents and other areas as well. So I think there has been a change there in terms of what we're doing, and AI has certainly been a driver because of it.
What are the key pain points you're hearing as you're talking to your clients, as you're talking to several of these brand leaders? What are they coming to you for as they ask for solutions?
They see the vision, they see where they are, but one of the areas that they're really focusing on is how they can get their own data within their own organizations almost sort of sorted out so that it can take real advantage. And so the example with things like the agents, we need to plug in with them on their side in order that we can do that. Obviously, we have engineers that can help, and they do too as well. But they see the North Star and they see how that works. And so that's a primary thing that they're looking to address when they're talking to us. And I give you a good example, actually, of what it actually means. So let's talk about car rentals in Brazil. So Movida, they came out and said, look, people in Brazil, they're spending most of their time talking to businesses. Actually, there's over 1 billion messages now happening every day between businesses and people, which is huge. So they said it's hard for them to go to a different app, etc. They've built everything into WhatsApp. So you can go and you literally speak to the WhatsApp and say Movida's channel in there and say, looking to rent a car. I'm coming on these dates. I need to pick it up at Rio Airport. What have you got? Show me the prices. And it literally shows it.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Meta's advertising system increasingly asks marketers to surrender some control in exchange for performance enhancement. You have AI-driven targeting, Advantage Plus, and advertisers are able to provide objectives, creative assets, and the system handles much of the rest. It's quite frictionless, to your point. How do you respond to CMOs who worry they're giving up too much visibility and control over how branding decisions are made?
Well, actually, all branding decisions are in the control of the CMO and the marketing team. What we can offer through Advantage Suite is the reduction in the friction, as you say. Some of the products used to take 150 different individual steps versus one step now. We see sometimes that advertisers think that they need to have a very tight target audience in terms to go after, but they can often miss out on the reach that's possible and the expansion of new audiences for them. One of the things that I love, and I do always ask the question when I'm in a crowd of people, is who's been on Instagram and it's shown you something you didn't know you wanted, but you just fell in love with? And everybody kind of puts their hands up and nods to it. So it's that kind of moment of discoverability that sometimes can feel like magic. That's what you're giving up if you're kind of not using the tools in the best way possible. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide what you want to do.
One of the things Meta announced this week is the idea of AI learning from a brand's existing creative and past performance. You were chatting to Estée Lauder earlier this week. Great brands eventually have to reinvent themselves. They have to know when to break from the past. How do leaders use AI to build on what worked before without becoming constrained by it, especially in this AI era?
Yeah, so this was such an exciting, experiment that we did with Aude Gandon, the global CMO of Estée Lauder. And she challenged us to say, if I give you my archive, all 80 years of it, and into Muse Spark, which is our AI model, our latest one, which is a really strong and powerful model, what could it tell us about an anatomy of a brand, and especially anatomy of a brand icon? So we went through, and actually it was really interesting because we found like different areas, 5 different areas, and they ran it against all their different brands. And it was so clear what brands had survived. Many had died through the years, and why, but actually what were the ones that were enduring? And what the AI was able to pull out, and you and I would probably think, well, if you work out the 5 criteria, to be an icon, you need 10 out of 10 on each of them. It's not the case. You need to have 10 out of 10 on 2 or 3 of them. And it's the lopsidedness that actually, there weren't any of them were 10 on 10 on all 5. And so this was a really interesting thing. So now they've taken it in and they're using it against future work that they're creating. They're also relearning from the past, the dawn of the brand's essence, which is such an important moment to go back to go, what was the founder thinking at that time about that brand and what can we use today? So they now are thinking about their creative work in a very different way, learning from the past, but also using the AI to help them take them forward in the future as well.
You're wearing these glasses currently, not just because they're stylish. Walk us through Meta's forceful push into wearables.
Yeah, so we're really excited about all the work that we're doing with smart glasses, with AI glasses. And I'm wearing the new Kylie Meta glasses. These are our first glasses first ones we've ever done with Kylie, and the first ones that she's ever designed herself. But also it was really important for Mark Zuckerberg when he was thinking about this, that he wants to get AI into the hands of people in the most easy to use way possible. And look, I've got my hands, I can do everything, but at the same time, I can be, asking AI a question and I'm getting the answers back. It's the first one's built with Muse Spark as well in here. So that's what it's about. There's lots of different ranges, there's different colors, and these ones have got a little diamond on them, a little touch from Kylie. And they start at $299, so they're much cheaper than the previous ones, and we're just really excited to get them out.
Does it feel different to sell and market a tangible product versus a service, which is what Meta historically has been?
Yeah, it's completely different. We've not done a lot of hardware in the past, but yeah, we're really excited about the trajectory, and we're seeing this one of the fastest selling hardware consumer products that's been out there. So it's still early days, but yeah, we're encouraged by what we're seeing. And people talk about, they're so light, I think they look quite nice on. So yeah, we need to get you some.
Absolutely. I want to talk about power, influence in media, because as we said at the top of the conversation, you've been in this space for quite some time. And when you started, the most powerful people in media, they ran giant television networks, traditional advertising agencies. Today, a single creator can be in their bedroom and command global attention. What has that shift taught you about where influence and power today actually reside?
So isn't that
a bit of a philosophical
question?
one?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think Mark has always thought about the democratization of the tools that exist to put them in the hands of every person on the planet. And I think that's an incredible vision. So yes, anybody can become a creator today. AI kind of supercharges that ability as well. A handful of years ago, creators weren't here. It wasn't a thing. But now we're in a position in society where half of the things that people are buying have been influenced by an individual, a human, and some of those are going on to build extraordinary businesses. So I think this is a really exciting part of the time that we're in, both empowered through the technology, but also the fact that people like community, and these creators bring huge community with them. They entertain us, they emote with us, they share with us, and yeah, they influence what we want to kind of buy and enjoy as well. So I think they increasingly have a really important role to play.
We're seeing such tectonic shifts and rapid disruption in corporate America or in business at large. Meta has certainly experienced that and is in many ways, pushing that forward. As you look at AI, as you look at the tech space, what's getting you excited? And then on the flip side, what's keeping you up at night?
On the keeping me up, actually, I sleep incredibly well, so that's good. Look, I'm buzzing from this can. This has been our biggest can ever. We had 15 new product announcements coming into this week on the back of all the announcements from, conversations just a couple of weeks ago. So it feels very energetic, very exciting. That's because of the AI as well, allowing us to create more. Changes, it can be a difficult and a challenging thing, but actually, as you said at the beginning, my whole career has been rooted in change. And so I'm energized by the fact that we're now the first generation of leaders that are not just managing people, I'm also managing my own agents that are helping me. And they've really helped me this week at Cannes, which has been great.
Anything you're cautious about?
Look, I think, there is a responsibility in terms of where the AI is going. But what we do at Meta is that we take that responsibility incredibly seriously. So we're building in safety, we're building in the protocols from before we're even training the models. So we've got those principles very much rooted at the heart of the company.
Let's say we're chatting again at this point next year. What will have made you say, last year was a huge success? What will winning look like for you?
So I think it's very difficult in the world of technology to kind of future forward and imagine what's going on. But from the excitement that I've seen here this year at Cannes, a lot of the people, I think we're going to see a lot more on creator marketing. More and more, of the advertisers and the CEOs, CMOs that I've been speaking to are saying, how do we do creators, but how do we now do that at scale? So one of the things that we've actually created now is a whole creator marketing hub where we've brought in the 5 million creators that were on Instagram, but we're now also bringing in the ones that are on Facebook. We're putting it together with our partnership ad, so it's all in one place, making it easy for the advertisers to be able to adopt this at scale. I think that's one. I think a year from now, we're going to see, increased adoption of agents as a way that businesses and people speak. And I think that's going to be great for both people and the businesses as well. So those are a couple of the things that I'm very excited about.
Nicola, you've been here at Cannes. This is one of many years you've been at Cannes. What are the more recent insights you've heard this time around? I
think the biggest insight is almost creators. Everybody's talking about it. Definitely agentic and what that means and how you can talk to consumers in a new way. And actually the shift from marketing to be much more about, rather than one thing, all things enterprise.
As we end, I want to get a bit personal because you've been very candid about your health journey. You've certainly spoken about it with Fortune in the past. You've spoken about your cancer diagnosis and how that's changed your perspective on time. And I think that's so interesting because you work in an industry, and I certainly feel it, where everything is just framed as so urgent. The next platform shift, the next product cycle, the next competitive threat. After going through that experience, what actually feels urgent to you now?
Wow, that's such a big question. I think I've actually always lived my life to make sure you squeeze as much out of every day as is humanly possible. What is urgent for me? Spending my time with my family and my gorgeous grandson, JJ.
Yeah. And has your definition of ambition changed as a result of that?
Whenever I was asked this early in my career, my ambition was always to be a cool grandma. So I feel very blessed that I've achieved that. So now I'm just greedy for more.
Fair enough. I think that's a solid and aspirational place to end. We're still in the very early chapters of this AI transition, as you know, and it'll be fascinating to see whether the next decade is defined primarily by efficiency, creativity, or entirely new forms of consumer behavior. So, Nicola, thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us here at Cannes Lions.
Oh, thank you so much for the conversation.
Truly such a pleasure. Thank you.